Hey guys, how's it going? My name's Delays and welcome back to Stoneblock 3. In the last episode, we didn't do all that much. To be perfectly honest, we were kind of distracted a little bit. We did get a couple of things started, so I've worked a little bit off camera, and we have a bunch of flowers. Are these? No, they're not backed up yet. So we have all of the Botania flowers. We got those last time with some floral fertilizer. We have the basic stuff: wheat, carrots, potatoes, beets, pumpkins, melons, all being grown, all going automatically into our storage system. And yeah, we have done a lot of stuff with Mekanism last episode. We did a lot of work with getting these things upgraded. We also hooked up our refined obsidian and diamond, which this is actually full. But the infusers for those two materials, and just in general, we've been working on a lot of stuff. All to kind of get to this point today. So, there is a couple things that we are after. And the big thing is I want a mecha suit. This is going to be so important later when we actually go back to like the nether dungeon and all that kind of stuff. Having one of these is going to be huge, but we need HDPE sheets, which comes from pellets, which comes from a whole chain, and polonium pellets. And the basic gist of this is that we need to get nuclear waste, which comes from, this is pronounced Fissile Fuel in America. How I pronounced it, Fissile, I believe, is British, so it's Fissile Fuel. That is terrible to pronounce, but it is what it is. So I've done a little bit of digging. I said last time that we're going to have these little rooms, and we currently have two. Hopefully these are big enough for what we're going to do today, because this one is going to produce, we're gonna make some fancy things. Do I have, if I don't have leather, I know that I have a bunch of these, so we can get a bunch of leather, and then we can take some sticks and that leather. If I can spell leather, pronounce leather, same difference. We're gonna grab two of those, and actually, yeah, we'll keep two. So what we're gonna do today is we are going to lean hard into Mekanism. We are going to start producing HDPE sheets, as well as we're gonna start working towards getting the Fissile Fuel so that we can build up a little bit for a fusion reactor later. I'm scared of fission reactor. It's not fusion. Fission. I'm scared of the fission reactor, but we'll get there. So anything else that I need to tell you guys about between episodes? I don't think so. So what we're gonna do right off the bat. Oh, I did take the crafting upgrade out of the refined obsidian. We just don't have enough obsidian right now. Eventually, we'll bite the bullet and get some obsidian chickens. Obsidian chickens will give us plenty of obsidian. So that is something, but until that day, we're not going to worry about it. So last time we made a bunch of Mekanism machines like chemical infusers and chemical oxidizers, and we need to make more. We need to make more of those as well. So we're going to start with the HDPE sheets to begin with, and it's actually pretty straightforward. We're going to need, in total, 2 ender tanks, which I taught the system how to make. I taught the system how to make a bunch of stuff, for the record, off camera, but we're going to need 2 ender tanks, and we're also going to need an enrichment chamber, which I taught the system how to make, and a crusher. So we're going to need a crusher. And this requires 2 basic controls and some lava. So let's get that. And I need to move things on my desk so I can actually see. Okay, so we're gonna need 2 lava, because I physically wrote down the entire process. These things are not simple to make. They are. Okay, let me put it this way: they are detailed in the way they are crafted. The Fissile Fuel is much worse than the HDPE Sheets, but it's still kind of the same type of idea. We have a set of inputs, we have a bunch of machines, and then we have our output. And that's all it is. So we have the basic control circuits. So there is the crusher that we needed, and then we need the enrichment chamber. And then we are going to just go ahead and tell the system, because I already did, to make 2 pressurized reaction chambers, because that's what we're going to need, aka PRCs. I'm going to probably call them that more often than not, but we do actually need 2 of these. And that is pretty much it for this recipe, this crafting. So let's eat a better food source for now. And let's talk about what we're going to need. We're going to put that in there. We're going to put this in there, one of these, and all of this. Oh wait, I only grabbed one of the PRCs. I need both of them. So we'll go grab the other one. We're going to put this in there, and we'll get to the other machines that I need later. So we're going to set up the HDPE sheets, the plastic sheets, before we do anything else. And yeah, I need both of those. And then you might notice I have a bunch of pipes. So we have some basic pressurized tubes. These are for gases. Mechanical pipes, basic ones, these are for liquids. Advanced universal cables, I figured why not use the advanced ones. And then advanced logistical transporters, those are for items. The cables is for power. So what we need, and these are very narrow rooms. I can't go much farther this way, but I don't think I need much more room for this one. So the first thing we need to do is talk about inputs. This is the easiest. Oh, I need a piece of dirt. We'll go grab a piece of dirt in just a sec. So this is the easiest thing in the world. I decided to go with carrots for our stuff, but yeah, we'll just put carrots here in our inventory. So the 2 things that we need for this entire process is carrots and water. That is it. So we need to grab some dirt, and I do need to make sure that I have my configurator on me. I'm going to put these 2 machines in here. Do not let me forget that. Remind me. So let's grab just a single piece of dirt, because that's all we need. For the record, these machines, for the system that we need to make for the Fissile Fuel, is not enough. We need 3 of the infusers and I think 2 oxidizers. So yeah, we need to make more of those machines, but we'll get to that later. So what we're going to be doing is we need to take water. The whole process is we need to take water and turn it into oxygen and hydrogen. That's all the water is for. And then we take the carrot and turn it into biofuel. Also, we need to use some water for ethylene. So, I don't really want to do this on camera, and it's going to be easier to just do it, show it off, and then kind of talk about it. And I think what I want to do, for the record, is I want to have, as much as I can, the outputs in, like, this area, so that we can run... like if I can have my output be one of these 2 places, which we're going to make a drawer. And I think for, like, here's the thing. I do want to see HDPE sheets. Do we use this for anything else? We are going to need quite a few for the transmutation tablet later, but I don't know what that is. Reinforced casing capable of resisting intense chemical and thermal effects of phase-shifting reactions. I don't know what that does. So this plastic stuff, okay, we are going to want a decent amount of it. So let's do it this way. We're going to grab a drawer. We're going to make a drawer. And we're going to get the upgrade that is make thing smaller. That is the best way I can. The downgrade. There we go. That's what it's called. So we want the downgrade. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to step away for a moment and I'm going to figure out how to place all of these machines in a way that makes sense to me so that we can make the HDPE sheets. And I will bring you guys back in once I have that figured out. So it is a lot smaller and compact than I thought, and one machine in particular gave me trouble, but we can go ahead and put that there, and let's go through this in reverse. So, enrichment chamber to turn HDPE pellets into the sheets. The pellets require a PRC that takes substrate, oxygen, and liquid ethylene to make the pellets. Liquid ethylene is made from gaseous ethylene in the rotary condensator. So we need the other PRC. This is the one that's a pain because it has five inputs and outputs. So we need water, hydrogen, biofuel to get substrate, and ethylene. That's also how you get the substrate. There is other ways to get substrate, but that is the way we're going to go. And to get the hydrogen and oxygen, we just use an electrolytic separator. That easy. So, there it is. So this machine right here is the pain. So it actually needs to have all 6 sides touching something because it needs power. So it has that on the bottom. There's power on the bottom with this flux point right here. And I do kind of wonder, before we look too much into that, how is our power situation doing? We might want to upgrade things sooner rather than later. Oh, it's fine. Wow. I do want to make more energy cells, but that is something, we can go ahead. I do have this crafting recipe. Let's go ahead and tell the system to make that. And then what does the harden take? Requires all that. So I'll have to make some more energized steel. I'll do that between the next little cut when I solve the issue of the fissile the fissile fuel. So we have carrots. Carrots are growing here. Carrots get turned into biofuel in the crusher, and the crusher is going to export those and only out the front. So that is the whole idea there, and it goes into the pressurized reaction chamber. All of this is going off of an assumption. If the assumption works, which I did test it with those machines over there, so with items it at least works, but if these machines can eject and push items into the inventories of the next machine, then it works fine. This I know will work. So this is going to be pushing the pellets into our enrichment chamber, which is going to turn it into the sheets, then push it into here, which already has the downgrade. I locked it. We're going to put the first sheet in there once we make it. But I don't know if it works for gases or for the gases and the liquids. I'm hoping it does. So this is the transport for the substrate from this PRC. This PRC will push ethylene into this machine, which will then turn it into liquid ethylene. So that will work there. Let's just make sure that this is fluids on the left. That's energy gases on the right, and it will eject. We'll make sure this all works. I don't know if this machine might give me issues. And then, yeah, electrolytic separator, we put the water there. Presumably, let's go ahead and start this. Actually, let's start with the crushing. So we're just going to configure this to pull out this, and it's going to start crushing up biofuel, and we'll see if it goes in here. So this is just testing. I hope everything works. So 5 biofuel every time. The reason I use carrots is because carrots only make more carrots. They have a chance to make double carrots, and they produce 5, which is the best out of everything that is simple enough. So that all worked. Let's turn this on. So that fills up with water. This is separating hydrogen and oxygen. All right, this is important. I didn't set this one up because I wanted to make sure that it was going to work. That is full of water. So this reaction chamber, in order to make the ethylene, requires hydrogen. So we need the blue one to go to the left. And did it make anything? No, not yet. So gases blue left. So this might also be a problem. Gases, the other one is out the back. So will this actually work? So output 2. So that has filled up. That does not. So gases are auto-ejecting. They're supposed to anyways. Liquids can eject. Okay, so this one is going to be the problem child. So I kind of had a feeling about that, but that's not the end of the world. So I think what we need to do is just move this stuff down. So I am going to once again cut away. Oh, we're low on water? That's not good. Okay, so this guy has no power. Right, this needed power. Okay, so I'm going to move this machine. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to move it down. It's really silly. I'm going to move it down here to this area. And we will probably just run a wire or something, and I'll have it in like a corner or something. We'll do it like right here. We'll put the machine there, and it will be just fine. We'll just send direct power because I don't want this to run out of water ever. I guess it is still working, but if it had power, it would work faster. And I don't know if we can... what's the upgrades? I gotta remember what... They're not called upgrades. They are called something else. Add-on processor. So does this work for this guy? It does. So add-ons, isn't there a efficiency speed? Where that's processing. Let's see if we have an add-on speed. I don't remember if we... I feel like we did, but I don't remember. Can we make an... it requires that stuff. Ugh. That is annoying. So let's... I'm going to cut away. I'm going to fix the machine. The electrolytic separator seems to be the problem. And we'll see... I'll see if everything else is working before I bring you guys back in. But yeah, we can still make it pretty compact. I'm just going to move this over, and then we can rearrange pipes as needed. I'll have to use a few more of those guys, but not the end of the world. So yeah, I will fix this, and we'll be back in a moment. That's already full of... Perfect. Okay, that's a little bit unfortunate, but it's whatever. So... maybe just the... Okay, that just dumped all of the oxygen in there. And now the hydrogen's all in here. Ugh. I'm going to fix this, and I will bring you guys back in once it's done. The problem is this guy. And you know, properly putting everything in place. So we need to just move the crusher down 1. That is enough. And I like how everything keeps the inventory. We can go ahead and put the carrots back. Get some logistical transporters. And configure this to export once it grows some carrots, and this should all work. So we have carrots going into the crusher, turning into biofuel, which then goes into this PRC. We have water coming down into the electrolytic separator. We needed to have a pipe on the other side. It would be fine, it just couldn't extract the gases from the back. It can take liquid from the front is where it's supposed to, but yeah, it just couldn't do what I needed it to do. So we have oxygen, and I want this to be dumping excess on both. If any of this stuff fills up, we dump the excess, and that way it just continues working. Actually, it should only need to dump the excess hydrogen because it won't fill up both. This is a self-contained system type of thing. So this guy is able to retrieve the gas, and if I had it configured right, it can push the ethylene, which is a gas, into this guy. This guy does need to be placed like this because of side stuff, and it can push the liquid ethylene into here. It gets oxygen from the electrolytic separator, which is what this pipe is. It gets the substrate items from back here, and it produces the pellets, which get refined into, or enriched into these sheets. So we can put that there. We can grab one. This will only store a stack, and that is perfect. So we're gonna put one right there because that's what we're making in here. And we can even get some niceness. Perfect. So that's self-contained. We're going to real quick step away from all that and make one of these. So we need, no, I don't want the add-on tier 1, I want the add-on tier 2, which is, so we need 2 diamond gears, 2 glass panes, 2 sugar, 2 redstone, and a bucket. All of this should be pretty straightforward and easy. And let's go ahead and get that. So the diamond gears, how do I get those? Very easily. Redstone, sugar, and glass panes. So this is just because we are going to need a lot of water. So much so that I will probably end up moving this machine just so that we can get a lot of water. So this stuff goes in here. We get a bucket of latex, and then it runs out of power. Can we just break this? Oh, nope, we lose everything. Okay. We are going to just put this, just take it over here. Let's make sure we get an extra bucket of latex. And we'll just set this machine up over here for now and get all the stuff we want. So, with the stuff taken care of, the HDPE sheets are now being made. That means we can start working on the other project, which is the Fissile Fuel. And that is going to be so much more complicated and complex because it requires a lot more stuff. But there's some good news and some bad news with all of it. Okay, so that is actually doing much better, and it doesn't need any power. Perfect. Okay, that's fine. We'll leave that there for now. I will probably end up moving it at some point. I don't know where exactly, but yeah, this guy. So our inputs are 3 things. Let's go ahead and get this one taken care of. So we need, once again, water. We need uranium ingots and sulfur. That is it. That is enough to make the uranium hexafluoride, which we then turn into fissile fuel. This is actually what we want. I don't know why the NEI, JEI, REI, whatever this system is. I don't know why it doesn't show the fuels all that well, but it's there. So let's just go quickly through this, and then we're going to go make the machines that we need, because there are still a lot of machines that I need. And there is a total of, let's see, 2, 4, 6, 7, 11 machines total that we are going to need to make this. So uranium hexafluoride in the isotopic centrifuge turns into fissile fuel. To make uranium hexafluoride, we need a chemical infuser with hydrofluoric acid and uranium oxide. Uranium oxide is the easier thing. I don't know what that bar is about, but uranium oxide is yellow cake uranium in a chemical oxidizer, and yellow cake uranium is uranium ingots in an enrichment chamber. We'll talk about this a little bit later. So then the hydrofluoric acid is sulfuric acid and fluorite in a chemical dissolution chamber. Fluorite we're getting from our production line, our resource stuff. Sulfuric acid is water vapor and sulfur trioxide. Water vapor is just water being turned with a rotary decondenser. Yeah, with this thing, this is such a bad name for it. It's terrible. The condensator. It's hard to say. And that's just water. So that's easy enough. Sulfur trioxide is sulfur dioxide and oxygen. Hey, oxygen, we know how to get that. That is just electrolytic separator. That one's easy. This one we're going to dump all the hydrogen because we don't need it. But sulfur dioxide, and for the record, that takes place in another chemical infuser. Sulfur dioxide is a chemical oxidizer of sulfur. And to get sulfur dust, we will take, so we have the thermal series sulfur from our resources, and we just need to enrich it. That's it. So we have a lot of things that we need to do, but for the most part, it's not too bad. I guess I did forget the other ingredient was fluorite. We do need fluorite, so we'll take one of those over there, and that's where our refined storage system is going to come in handy. I need to wire it up over here, but for now we're just gonna get things placed down and whatnot. Figured out the puzzle that is the machine twists and turns. So in order to make this, we are going to need our two things. Thank you for reminding me. So we are going to need the chemical dissolution chamber, which we made the PRC. So we're going to need the chemical dissolution chamber, which requires refined obsidian ingots and ultimate control circuits. And did I teach the system how to make atomic alloys? Yes, this is just the last tier of the alloys. You take the previous tier, you put it into the next tier of infusing. Pretty easy. So let's teach the system how to make these guys. And we need 2 of them. So let's get that. So atomic, no, what are they called? Ultimate. They are ultimate control circuits. We need 2 of those. So yeah, it takes the all of the iron, turns it into infused alloys, and then into reinforced alloys, and then into atomic alloys. And hopefully we have enough refined obsidian sitting in there to do that. Now we also need to make an osmium compressor, and this is going to require some more alloy stuff. So we're going to need 2 of these, and eventually it will give us those. No, we're gonna need 4 of those. So let's get 2 more. I fully upgraded, for the record, all of the machines that I kind of thought were going to be the most important. So both the carbon infusing factory and the basic one with the redstone, as well as, not the enrichment, the smelting. And did I do the crushing? I did the crushing. All of those are fully upgraded. And we'll eventually get upgrades in all the stuff, because why not? So, alloys. Alright, and then we need control circuits. I had already made those, so we're going to need 2 of these. And then we're going to need So this makes the osmium compressor. And then we're going to need the, we're going to need some osmium. Just take a stack, because we're not going to break this machine or anything like that. And then we're going to need some refined obsidian. Let's get, I mean, we need like 4. But let's get half a stack. So that's going to take a little bit of our obsidian. It's going to enrich it to get this stuff, and then it's going to go through the diamond stuff. And then what else are we going to need? We're going to need 2 basic chemical tanks for this machine. And we're going to need a lot of chemical stuff. So we need 4 of these. That should be good for now. So let's go ahead and we're going to place the osmium compressor on this line of machines. We're going to make sure this can get input. I only want input of power. I don't really care about anything else. So the osmium goes here, and then the refined obsidian goes up there. It takes osmium, it infuses it into the refined obsidian, and it gives us our ingots. That's it. Pretty easy. You know what? Let's just go ahead and tell it to extract from that as well. Maybe? No? Okay. Let's just remove that then. So we'll have this stuff be manual. Anything on this side will be manual stuff. But once we get all 4, we can get the chemical dissolution chamber, which we only need 1 of. So that's good. And then we can work on other stuff. So we have that. It's easier to go this way. And let's go ahead and get our chemical dissolution chamber. Now this is a quest. We need 2 basic tanks. 2 of those. And there's that. Cool. So that machine is done. We are going to need 2 chemical oxidizers. So we're going to need 1 more chemical oxidizer. And for that, we are going to need another personal chest. So let's get this going. Control circuit. Just make like 10 of those for right now. And so the chemical oxidizer, we get the personal chest. We get the basic thing, and then we're also going to need alloys. So let's get like, I don't know, a stack of that. Sure, why not? And 4 of those. Perfect. So there's the other chemical oxidizer we need. So we need 2 of those. We're going to need 2 enrichment chambers. We'll do those last. We're going to need 2 more chemical infusers. So much stuff. So we're going to need 4 of these. Not anything too difficult. 1 and 2. And then we are going to need the ISO thing. The isotropic topic. The isotopic centrifuge. Which requires a basic chemical tank, which is funny. That it's just, this is like a high tier recipe. It requires ultimate control circuits, and it requires just a basic tier of the things. So we'll get that. We're going to need the condensator, and we're going to need an electrolytic separator, which I think we can go ahead and make that. I already made the core. I thought I made the core. Oh no, I taught the system how to make the core, so I don't have to. So we'll get that. And then the concentrator, we're going to need a basic fluid tank, another basic chemical tank, an energy tablet, and the other thing. And I'm going to be honest with you guys. All of this is completely for naught. It only made one. I need one more. So all of this is actually for naught. The reason being is because we don't actually have all the materials we need to be able to make a lot of fissile fuel, because we have 2 uranium ingots plus the one over there, so we have 3 total. We don't have a way to get this, not yet anyways. We need to get the ore. So the raw ore comes from deep slate. It produces uranite and uranium. And the deep slate we can make with, there's a couple ways, but the igneous extruder is probably going to be the best way. So I do have an igneous extruder, and I just want to see if oh, it needs an augment. Okay, so let's focus on one thing, and then we'll talk about that. So there is the rotary concentrator. So there's, let's just go through. We have, let's actually make this before I forget. So the isotopic centrifuge, and then we're going to need 2 enrichment chambers. And that should be it. Okay. So that's what? 9, 10, 11. Yes, that is 11 machines. A lot of stuff. Okay. So yeah, we don't have a way to actually automate this quite yet. So I'm going to be honest with you guys. I'm going to work on this off camera between episodes. And we'll come back and have it working next time. We'll get, actually no, we're gonna go slowly through it, because there are a bunch of quests. So we need to get sulfuric acid and all that. We can do most of the stuff. It's just this yellow cake uranium we can't get much of yet. So what we need to do is apparently get an augment, and I don't know. This is thermal, yeah. I don't know. What it is. So let's see. Igneous extruder. It just doesn't tell me. Okay. Do we have some ice? Ice is the other thing that we're going to need. I have some blue ice. Can't I turn this into packed ice? No. How can we get packed ice? We can get packed ice from normal ice, obviously. And we can get normal ice from ice charges. No. We're going to have to blast chill, which I do believe we have. There is the blast chiller. We really don't have any ice in here. No. Okay. So ice is something that we are going to need later. Just make sure I don't see any. There's some more blue ice. Put that in there. Okay. That's fine. We will pick up this machine. Put the blast chiller. And we need 4 things of ice. Configuration. Nope, that's... so the blast chiller, if it has ingots, it does other things. Otherwise, wait, hold on. If we just put lava into a blast chiller, that would make, of course I see that now. Water. I guess let's just do this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the packed ice. I'm going to figure out how to get deep slate. But more importantly, I think what we're going to go ahead and do is I'm going to set up the stuff. I know this episode's gone a little bit long already, but I'm going to start setting up stuff, and we will start working on getting some of these quests done. And if we can get to this point, I'd be happy. So we'll set up all the machines and we'll start working on that, and I will bring you guys back in once that is done. I think I have it. I'm not entirely sure. We'll find out soon enough, but this is all we have. All 11 machines are here, and I even made a basic chemical tank because that's what the Fissile Fuel will go into. And I have a couple of things around that are going to be inputs from our refined storage system. So basically, this should be everything. And I noticed on the quests, most of these are actually just check marks. So we'll check them off once we get them. But we're gonna start slow. I had to leave myself a sign, and I have both a pressurized tube and a power line going underneath here so that we can have everything kind of connected. But let's go ahead and start by powering everything on. Now there is a few things that we don't have actually, like, so all these should be getting power. Looks good. So there's a few things that don't actually have any connections quite yet. So we're gonna start with this. These two machines are kind of important. So let's just start with water. And immediately, this is turning water into water vapor, which is going all the way over here, and we'll get to that soon enough. This one is giving us oxygen and hydrogen. Now the hydrogen, we're gonna rotate this, and I hope that it works. Can we input fluids into the back? We can. Perfect. Alright, so the right side is oxygen, and that is what we want. So right side is output 1, and it just sent all the hydrogen into here, and that's not what we wanted. Alright, so we want output 2. Now this is full of oxygen, and that's the problem. Okay, so let's see. There is a way we can actually just do this. We can grab this and put this here, right? There is a dropper item. Gauge dropper. Yeah, this thing. So it's osmium and glass. We'll see if that works. That is the worst thing about some of the mechanism stuff, is just trying to clear the inventories. It is very difficult to do so. So let's get some more glass panes so that we can make this thing and see if this works out the way I want it to. But basically, we just need to get... There we go. We got all of the hydrogen, and honestly, I'm just gonna delete this. We're just gonna get rid of it. We don't need the gauge dropper. The extra hydrogen, like, I guess we could put it in here. That's not how that works, apparently. Hydrogen is being pumped directly. That's so annoying. Can we do this? No. Okay. Well, we will dump access for a while. Let's just dump it all, and then we can fill it back up. It's fine. I'm just going to get rid of this. I'm just going to literally delete it. I have a trash can. I believe it's T. Oh well. Let's just... Boom. It's gone now. Okay, so that is fine. So that will start making oxygen and hydrogen again. And everything should be good here. We will put this on dumping excess. It will constantly run then, but that's fine. So, back to this. Does this now have oxygen? Yes. And we are going to dump excess hydrogen. We're actually just going to dump hydrogen. We don't need hydrogen for this. So it's just going to produce oxygen, and it will eventually back up. So that is perfect. So the first set of things that we need to do is we need to chemical oxidize sulfur. But we can't use this sulfur. It doesn't go in there. So the original sulfur has to go in the enrichment chamber. And then this will, once it kind of goes, and this is where one of our inputs, so this is going to be sulfur. I don't think we need this sign anymore. I did that just mostly so I knew. We can kind of clean this up a little bit with some more stone. So that went very quickly. And now we have, there's some sulfuric acid in there, and it's not going forward. Probably because I don't know which side is which on this. So items are always going to be on the top. We're going to clear everything else. And we're going to use our wrench to rotate it. And now it should be on the left side. Input. Back. I don't know. Let's do it this way. That looks like something that's going to be a input. So that looks like... So that's the back. So it's the right side. Should be fine. Okay, so there is sulfuric acid in there. There's very little, but there is some sulfuric acid. And to get the, what is it? So with sulfuric acid, we're trying to get hydrofluoric. Okay, so 1 to 1. So we have sulfuric acid. Let's look at the quest. Sulfuric acid. We made that perfectly. That works great. So all this system does is right here we add the fluorite. Actually, we're gonna yeah, no, we're gonna do that. It's gonna use not enough. All right, that's fine. It wanted us to make this chemical dissolution chamber. We are going to pick it up, and there's the quest. We will put that back down, and it should be fine. Let's go get some more sulfur. Sulfur is something we have a lot of. So eventually we're going to make like 3 exporters, and that is going to be what we use. So let's grab just another half a stack of sulfur and the fluorite. We have that. We're going to do this side. We're going to get the yellow cake uranium before we do anything else. And I'm going to put just a chest here and dump off things that we do not need right now. All that. Okay. So we'll get this going. It just got a bunch of sulfur. It's doing its thing. So we're going to turn auto eject is off. So we're gonna put the enrichment chamber. We're gonna get some yellow cake uranium by enriching normal uranium ingots, and this will give us 2 yellow cake uranium, which is a quest. And then oxidize it to get the next thing, and then the uranium hexafluoride. We're going to go ahead and just check mark all these so that we can pick this guy up and put him back down. And I don't know how badly this is going to be sighted, but we're going to do input on that side, output on that side, and see if it works. We'll put the basic tank there. We're going to turn this guy on, auto eject. We're going to put the yellow cake uranium in here. It gets oxidized into the uranium oxide. We'll get a little bit of that, and then eventually we will get gases. Okay, so this one, it needs to be gases on the right is an input, and there's a sulfuric acid, and then on the back is the output, and hopefully that works. And so if we put some fluorite in here, this will hopefully, yep, Fissile Fuel. That is filling up. Awesome. So this system is done, other than we need to get some uranium. And then obviously we need to hook up a refined storage system in here. And same with this. This is already full. This is already mostly backed up, which is kind of nice. What is it struggling on? It is literally just waiting for carrots. Alright, let's just idle both of these. And it'll fill up. It'll be fine. I'll keep an eye on this, make sure that it does. Like, I don't know if the ratios are quite exact or not, but, cool. So, at this point... Wow, a flux controller, really? I'm sorry. That's a very, very good reward. Oh, and the repair talisman is repairing my item. That's cool. I don't care right now. This is an amazing item because not only is that a ton of EMC, but that is also really useful. We might need to... I actually don't know. Are we going to need to make the top tier Magnum Star, Colossal Star? No? Okay. Unless there's a quest for it. We're not going to need that. So, the problem at this point is we have a good bit of sulfur. We have a good bit of fluorite. We already have a full bucket worth of Fissile Fuel. It's the uranium. Uranium is the bottleneck. And so what we need to do is get a solid source of uranium. And the solid source of uranium is, unfortunately, uranium ore comes from crushing deep slate. Crushed deep slate. So we're going to need to make another auto hammer. That's not a big deal, but we need a lot of deep slate. And it's actually a lot easier than you might think. In fact, I already have a bunch of deep slate. So the igneous extruder, this is what we needed to do. It is literally, you have to place them in the world next to it, not anything else. So that is how we can get tons of deep slate. And then I just need to hammer it. And honestly, let's switch this out. We are going to just do this kind of dirty locking. We're gonna grab a storage drawer for right now. Later on we will do a little bit more, but I do need to do a little bit of prep. The ore is gonna go through, which is not the end of the world, but I do need to get a filter. That's fine. We'll worry about that. So let's lock that, and then we can put deep slate in 2 of those, and we can go grab some netherrack and put that in the other 2, just so that we can have a little bit of netherrack in the system whenever we need. And it's going to produce stuff. Unfortunately, this thing is way too slow. So I might speed this up. There are 2 ways we can really do that. One is we move it, we do the gear ratio thingy so it goes faster like these do, where this is like speeding things up. Or we don't really have power over here. I was going to say, or we just put a thing there, but I think what I'll have to do is the create way and speed that up. But this episode has gone on way too long. However, we have 1 step away from getting polonium, and that is really important for multiple reasons. And so there's a few more things that we'll have to do with that. We'll have to make another pressurized reaction chamber. We'll have to get some fluorite dust. It's going to be a crusher. Those are 2 minor things. But the bigger thing is this is radioactive. So we got to be careful with that. This is also radioactive, nuclear waste. We need sulfur dust for that. And so there is a lot of things that we kind of need to deal with. So we're not quite there yet. But next time, I think what we're going to do is we're going to move away from Mekanism for a little bit. We're going to work on some other things. And we're going to look at the compact machines, I think. That is what I want to look into and figure out if we can do anything with this, because this looks like something that would be useful. So, especially with, you know, nuclear reactors and terrifying things. Otherwise, we go really far out that way and do it. But we'll see. I'm going to do some research on that, and we will come back next time and have some fun. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!